Hi, good afternoon. This is Jomar, and welcome to the first Coffee and Conversations episode. I'm here with Ceci Yang, Jay Montes, Jeff Dakilania, and Tri Pan. So we're all students of MDM at AIM. So right now we're now here at the Wholesome table at Greenbelt 3. So we're just chilling out, and then as we want to wind down in a way. So we went down here to discuss what we have learned in our MD, Marketing for Development course. So as the term ends, so it's a good practice to look back. So this for chilling purposes. For here right now, we switching cameras. So for my order, I just ordered my go-to drink. It's the cafe mocha. And what's unusual here is that Wholesome serves their drinks with edible sauce. Isn't that nice? So, Ceci, how about you?
What? This is like panda milk tea, which is nice. This is silly. You're gonna like hiding this part. This is milk tea.
And how about you, JM?
Explain your drink. So I ordered. I was supposed to order guayabano shake, but they don't have it here right now. So instead, I ordered calamansi juice. So this is like a local lemon here in the Philippines.
Okay, going to Jeff.
Hi. So I'm having what titos usually order. So it's a hot coffee. It's a latte compared to my younger colleagues here who all ordered cold drinks.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
This is the cheapest among all of these drinks.
Really? And your friend. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I ordered some milk tea since I empathize with the shop. They need to sell something, have more profit for them. Yeah, I'm apply some marketing principle here.
So, okay, right here. So, going back to our discussions. So, going back to our discussion, so what were your highlights of the MD course during the term? Or what was the best or the lessons that really struck you during the term?
Can I go first?
Yeah, you can.
Why are we so serious?
Hi, Jayam. Nice to see you again. So, what's the most memorable lesson you had for MD?
Yeah, so for me, that was the discussion about design sprint and customer journey map, and in those discussions, because it really helped me a lot about understanding on how to I actually kind of relate that to strategizing for the foundation where I'm working right now. Because we really need to understand our customers and to understand where they are coming from, to understand their pain points, and so that we will be able to come up with the appropriate projects or services that we can provide to them. And actually, I am reminded about that one particular lesson from Prof. Cruz when he mentioned that as development managers, we should not be product-centric, but we should be consumer-centric. So that's when the importance of the customer journey map and the persona comes in, and that's also where the design sprint exercise really is very helpful. So yeah.
Hi, Ceci. What's the most
Hi.
memorable lesson that you had in MD?
That's quite a lot. Let me see. I can recall the trigger, the touch points, the strategy, the jobs to be done, and you're gonna have to do the analysis of your customer and your audience of your customer and the potential customer. And
Why?
oh, why? 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 Another good question. Why? Oh, why? That's because I don't not like quite familiar with marketing before, and as like in development area for working several years, I don't know how to really interact with my users or my customers. Perfectly or smoothly. So by given this new opportunity or like new angle to see that, I can better understand the relationship, how you can serve the community, or how you can serve the beneficiary.
Hi Jeff, so what's the most memorable lesson that you had in MD?
Firstly, I took the MDM course because of my desire to learn about behavior. And MD, or Marketing for Development, just does that correctly, especially when we talk about design thinking, the design sprints, some marketing strategies, identifying touch points, pain points, gain creators, pain relievers. So these are behavioral things which I truly appreciate. But yeah, just to add up to that, the fog behavioral model, or the BMAT, is very memorable for me, since it is almost the same, or it is related to the behavioral models that we study in the security and safety business resiliency industry. So yeah, I think it talks about accessibility, motivation, and triggers, which tells more about customer behavior. That's it.
So Tree, for you, what's your most memorable lesson in MD?
Yes, the most memorable lesson for me in MD is the way to think about the customer. I remember that if you want to have some product and service, you have to understand how customer behave in a way. So, for example, right now in the middle of the COVID, there are a lot of people who wear the mask going outside. So, applying the BMAS model, it means they are very scared of get infected with the virus, and they already have the ability to do that, and they are the trigger in the order from the government. I really wonder if without the order from the government, will they still wearing the mask, or will it happen like in the US? So for me, the more thing I learned is we have to go out, we have to understand their story, and then with the design sprint, we come up with the solution which can satisfy them and trigger them to do a good thing. That's what I learned from my MDM course.
Thank you. Ready?
I'm doing this
Go.
What's the most memorable thing for me in MD? For me, it's about letting go. It was the time when Prof. Richard dropped in our LT breakout session for the design sprint, and he told me that I just need to let go. I need to trust others in giving out their opinion, and then just letting the process guide us through it, and drop all judgment. So it's hard for me because it was my topic, it was my MR topic, and then somehow it's kind of my baby, and so I want to protect it somehow. But then having others dissect it, scrutinize it, kind of painful because it's about, since it's very personal, so you think it's about you. And then that night when we tried to, when we were trying to figure out what we were supposed to do in our design sprint, and it's just like a leap of faith. So okay, what the heck? I would like to. I just let it be. And then going through that process is actually humbling, because our output was actually better than I anticipated, than I expected actually. So I'm glad that I went through it. I'm glad that our output was better than I thought, because now my MR topic has more direction and clarity. So for me, that's the most normal lesson for me. So guys, how can we relate the lessons that we learned in MD to the current situation that's going on about the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic? For example, how about this skip the X?
Yeah.
What's its implications
Yeah,
and everything?
like for me, this means less profit because this store would have less chances to have more customers, right? And this means risk as well because, like us here, actually, we are risking ourselves now, but there's nothing we can do, right? We have to move on. So I think we can use the empathy and then the behavior fog model, the pain points, the touch points, how we use them to see what does the industry, especially the restaurant, especially tourism industry, right? Like how would they cope up with this? So with the learnings we had, I think we would be able to get the valid concerns of these stakeholders and devise a way to go to the desired safe and profitable future that we want, right? So yeah, so that's it. Maybe
I actually agree with Jeff. And on top of that, actually it's really very, not just risky, but it's really dangerous to keep going back to your ex. So you really should skip the ex. And kidding aside, I agree with Jeff when he mentioned about the pain points. It's not just about the pain points of the business owners, but we should also consider the pain points of the customers who are actually used to coming over and over again and doing the same things that they were used to be doing before the pandemic. But right now, I think what we should be doing is really to think of ways how can we actually relate the lessons that we learned, such as designing models for the business entities in situations such as in post-pandemic circumstances or situations. So for me, I believe that we must be able also to understand the challenges that our consumers will be experiencing or are currently experiencing, so that we will be able to provide better advice or advice to the businesses, to the business owners.
Yeah, for me, I would like agree with GA, which is like look at the upside is this QR code here. Why can we take as a good chance for all this restaurant or the whole industry as a chance to upskill, use this like new technology way to keep us like safer and more and high effectiveness, and we can use much easy way, fast way, and safe way to back to our normal life to some degree, to a certain degree. Yeah, for me, I think thanks to this chance, I would like to say we can really give it a thought. How about we can improving our current life? Yeah. Don't do that. Improving our current life, and with this technology way, we can do a lot of things by ourselves right now. This like device here, we can pay through our cell phone, we can ordering food through our cell phone. What we should really consider about here is how can we make everything faster and simpler? Yeah, that's the thing we should like focus on.
It's all about market, right?
I know. What I'm thinking about hearing your talking is the customer band boys. You know, we all want to be social again, talk with our friend, but is it the band boy we risking our life, risking our health to go out, and even it also the pain point from the restaurant. They have to limit their customer. So for me, we can apply the design sprint in very weekly, maybe just 2 or 3 days to come up with a weak solution how to solve all of these pain points. For me, right now, we can have some application to monitor on the movement. So you know that this area is full of people, you should avoid it. Before you don't want to come to the round place for this fun right now. We really miss our old life when friends go out and
But
talk
of
with
course,
each
we cannot
other.
go back to that lifestyle anymore.
Yeah, the market has changed
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Right,
How
from
can we revive
suppliers
Exactly.
to buyers.
Even if there's going to be vaccine in the near future, that's going to be a different story altogether.
there should be some level of acceptance to this change, right? And but of course, we cannot just accept it. We have to innovate on how to mitigate the risk by accepting these changes. These are immediate changes, very sudden, and any miscalculated move would like what happened now to other countries where like second waves. Who knows, there might be some third wave, right? So the innovation would be a very key factor.
And most especially, I believe that the persona of our consumers has already changed drastically with the pandemic in place. I mean, the persona right now that we have is different from who we are previously. So we really have to constantly, I agree with what Tri mentioned about designing it or reviewing it on a timely basis, because we really have to be mindful of our consumers as well.
It change, everything is changed day by day. We can rely on our method for the new trending. Now things change very fast, like in the US. You open the economy again and just for a few more days they have to close because the case is rising up.
Yeah, we need to like act proactively.
Yes.
And we try to new ways. Maybe we can develop like new technology, help all these, for instance, like Grab or Foodpanda, how they can be more effectiveness. Like they can grab food in a faster way, safer way. This is like we can start to think about. Yeah, totally.
So, can anyone think of some any business that already failed? Because or any business that failed to adapt to the changing times, especially right now here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I would
businesses
say
that
like
closing.
a cinema.
Cinema,
Cinema,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think they take the really hardest
Tourism
and
is hard hit.
Yeah, hardest.
So there are thousands of stores or companies that had already closed, right? And I think majority of them are like the entertainment and tourism industries. Yeah.
So what can you say about them? So how can they adapt, especially now that they're dependent on physical interaction?
Yes, interactions. Yeah, that's it. That's the key there because they were dependent on close interactions, right? So, well,
The answer is actually to enroll a program in AIM.
yeah, that's one.
Yeah, I agree.
Or
Take a
hire-
course in marketing
or
development.
hire a newly graduate MDM.
Yes.
MDM.
Because they already
Students,
equipped with a new
Yeah.
tool, a new insight about the new normal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess the trend now is to go online. That's the dominant measure that people are taking now.
Yeah.
Like even tourism, right? So, and even the arts, the creative industry. So they were using Zoom and other online.
YouTube.
Yeah, right. YouTube.
Theater plays are now being shown
and
on
schools.
YouTube. Yeah.
Schools, right? They're into online learning now. So, yeah. So there's a way.
So what do you think are the pitfalls of moving suddenly to online platform, especially for our education system in the arts?
Well, there are sectors that would be very challenged, especially if we don't have resources like money, right? It's happening now in the educational system in the Philippines. Maybe in your country too, right?
There's actually more than resources, more than equity. I think the main challenge right now is how to sustain your consumers to actually stay on online platform, because prolonged online usage is also not good for one's health, mental health at that, on top of any other concerns. And these things should also be considered by enterprises, by businesses, whenever they're going to design a particular product or service. Maybe they can also think of other ways other than online.
Yes.
And but online right now is very much feasible. But again, it has its pros and cons. So we really have to be very mindful and careful about designing things.
Yes.
I think why people are depressed by the online, even like schooling or this exercising, everything, is that was like a missing part there. That's what we're missing, right? Because we kind of like we want to this face-to-face conversation, want to have this face-to-face dinner and face-to-face class even. But what's the missing part there is the gap we should fulfill with.
So connecting our BL class, our live case in BL, which is AHA Foundation, AHA Learning Center. So they're trying to do that gap, to bridge that gap. So what are your thoughts on this, and what do you think are the things that they can improve on, especially now that their platform is very much in demand?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm looking at some security issues there. Because, well, I just heard because I'm working in that industry, I've seen some risks of like students, or not just students, but families who are locked up in their houses because of the lockdown. So, like domestic violence, cyber crimes. So this is how crimes evolve, right? So abuse of authority. So that happens, right? So for me, as in the security industry, this would be very challenging, because unlike before, when students go to school, teachers see problems, right? Like, let's say tardiness, a student coming in with bruises on their hands, but now nobody sees that, right? So we don't know if a student having this online class is actually being abused inside the house. There's just no way for now. So I think it would be nice if we could create a measure to counter these kinds of risks.
Yes, build up on Zeb about the security. I think I am more concerned about the teachers. Because right now the school is not require the teacher to follow their program, but for the AHA Center, their program, I think, it's not approved yet by the Department of Education. So in the future, when the school have to follow the other program, maybe the AHA model will have to change. So for now, I think they should apply some study or feasibility application to prove that their education model is effective and can be extended outside the school. Yeah, because in the future, when the teacher have to come back to follow the school law, they cannot go online all the time. Yeah, it will be very risky for them. You have to choose between losing the job or do what is really effective but not proven yet and not approved yet.
For what I'm concerned is right here, right now, if we go out, do we need like a certificate about health certificate, right?
Yeah, facts.
And I think we should go to like
declaration.
the certain point to get this one. How about if we can really use a technology way? You can have an app, let's say, for testing your body, like temperature check, everything check.
The other day, right?
Yeah.
In that Japanese Japanese store.
Yes, but it's like yourself, right? Or selling by yourself. But if like a third party or like a technology way can help you doing this, that would be, you know, energy and time. Like
Yeah, what we lack right now is some kind of exercise. We all study in front of the screen and we lacking of movement. So maybe we can using the technology to so you can do some exercise and I will guiding you by on your movement. Yeah, we need some physical exercise now. We are too fat.
Oh yeah.
And so we already eat a lot.
So what can you do? So how can you address some of the basic issues of, for example, a lot of people in the country right now don't even have access to telephones. They don't even have access to broadband. So how can we bridge
how
the
do
gap?
you address them?
Yeah.
It's actually it depends on how we're going to use these devices or the system or the infrastructure. Addressing that would probably demand time and resources for the Philippines. You know, we're so we know for a fact that we are lagging behind in as far as these areas is concerned. But I think number one is we must first understand the context of the population. I'm pretty sure there's a reason behind, and we must also understand what kind of services or what kind of products would really demand these devices and the internet service or connectivity for us really to be able to identify which products or services will be provided to them and how to manage that gap. And but I think that before determining how to solve it, we must first ask ourselves, is it really the gap? I mean, is the lack of device or the lack of internet connectivity really the gap? That's where we are going to lead ourselves back to understanding the persona of our consumers, of the Filipino people, or of the Vietnamese, or of the Chinese. Because again, based if I may just reiterate it, we should not concentrate really on the product that we already have in mind, because there might be biases already, and it may not be as effective at how we think it is. But we must first think of our consumers. At this point in time, how are they feeling? Do they need all of these things? What do they need? And what are their pain points? Is the lack of internet service, is the lack of these gadgets part of their pain points? So we should really first understand all of these things before actually saying that this is the gap that is already present in our society.
Okay.
we're gonna stop here. Okay.
No. Any last words?
Yeah, well, I just wanna
last words.
share, right? Like being the matured guy here. During my time, distance learning is possible even without the internet, right? Like through correspondence, through like these learning materials being sent through LBC or courier, right? So that's possible. That then, of course, with the aid of technology and this internet, maybe teachers or schools can assess the students occasionally, wherein the students or their family can go somewhere and access online, right? So it doesn't have to be every day you have to be online. It doesn't have to be like that. It could be a combination. So I think it's addressable. It's
Blended learning.
yes.
I agree. Yes. Right now, maybe we also we spend already a lot of time to online platform. So maybe we should have some activity. So for the physical world, maybe what we need is how we study at our own with our family. It's not more about focus on study online. we already have a lot.
You were telling about radios a while ago,
Yes.
right? Radio is a nice option.
Maybe like in the bath when you wake up in the morning, you turn on the television and you zoom and dance and exercise like the program. Maybe we can have that on the radio. Yeah,
Any last messages? Any last message for Prof. Richard?
Yeah,
For Prof.
Professor.
Richard.
I think back after on we have to come back to the basic question: what is the persona? What is our customer need and what is their pain boys before we move on?
That's your message for Prof. Cruz.
Let me think about that.
For me, thank you, Prof, for everything. I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to work with you sometime in the future.
How about you, Jen?
Yeah, Prof, if there's one thing that I want to say, that would be you're a game changer. Like you changed my understanding, my perspective about marketing, and especially when you connected it with development work. So really big thanks.
Yes. For me, Prof, it's basically for me. I agree with them, and I really look forward to working with you also. So, going back to Ceci.
Oh, for me, yes, Prof. I mean, like, I don't understand the marketing very much. Yeah, and I really appreciate your sessions, and it's like a totally different way. And compare with our PPDM, which is really like knowledge oriented, but totally this is totally different thing, and blow our mind. And we really love it. We love you, and yes, hope to see you.
And maybe some final word from me. Rob, I will give you some insight about your student band boys when study MD class. For me, it's more about I don't know how I can learn MD actually. Maybe in the future you can set up some scenario for us to know what you're thinking, because we learn more by discussion, but I don't know how to say. But my pen boy, I don't know how to learn actually.
Okay, so maybe we could look forward to our future e-Newman with Prof. Richard.
Yes, I like it.
Okay, and this is us signing off.
From LT1,
LT3,
LT3,
LT5,
LG6.
LT4.
and LT3.